So I just kind of wanted to give an update on everything. I posted, a video not that long ago about coming off 7-hydroxy, Michigan. It all started with kratom, but I talked about my addiction and how I got up to like 1,000 milligrams a day in the process coming off, and it was definitely very challenging. And I am in no way, shape, or form trying to play a victim. We all play a role in our own destiny. Just to clear up a few things, there was a couple people who obviously they jump on and hate, and this comes from all over the internet. I know this because I have a fitness, Facebook profile, and I'm a content creator. So, I get people all the time that want to say stuff, but I'm not a victim. Obviously, I played into it, and whether you want to say I was chasing a high, relief, whatever it was, when I originally got started, it started with kratom, progressed to 7-hydroxy, and it did provide immediate relief to anxiety, social anxiety, pain, all that kind of stuff. I got a herniated 2 discs, played sports all my life, power lifter, and so it just really kind of covered all the bases. And so anyways, it progressed to that. When I initially started with kratom, the information that was out there was pretty sparse. It was linked to a coffee tree, and it was supposed to be addictive, or maybe it didn't even say that. Maybe I'm making that part up, but they really minimized what it did, and there were not a lot of Reddits out there at the time about people really struggling to come off. It wasn't until like a year or two later, when I tried to cut it out of the budget, that I started to realize, like, I'm getting sweats and like all this kind of stuff. Anyways, long story short, I started to make a lot more money, and so I could afford it now, and I wasn't really looking to budget. It was helping. I don't have any issues against medications. It's like telling someone who has bad eyes not to wear their prescription glasses. They do help. I do think the marketing was deceiving, obviously, linking it to kratom. Come to find out, it's just chemically structured to mimic an alkaloid that's in kratom. And a lot of people don't realize this, and this was on the Sean Ryan show, that the Chinese mafia has a lot to do with pushing this stuff. It does come from Southeast Asia. Anyway, regardless, I don't think limiting access to these things is going to stop the problem. Matter of fact, I've already experienced, since kind of coming off, kind of being looked at differently. I had a infected tooth that I ended up getting surgery in my mouth. And obviously, once you tell them you're on any kind of medically assisted treatment or substance abuse treatment, they don't want to give you any prescription pain pills, which is fine. I think when it was all said and done, and I reflect on all this, it really made me dive deep into what I wanted out of my life. Because why did I use it in the first place? And, I just realized I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, in my day-to-day operations. And, I just wasn't really happy with where I was at with myself. And so, you go down the deep rabbit hole, and I ended up really digging into religion. And I always hated those kind of people that tried to push it on you. But seriously, if there's any way to look at the Bible, it is the oldest, best motivational life blueprint that you can read about. Now, it's very challenging. It's in Old English, or translated from, like ancient languages, and they tell stories in parables, so it's a story within a story. So, it'd be like, God makes sure the fig tree sprouts in the summer, in the winter it's not there, and the message is, just have faith that soon you'll be nourished, and be happy and content with what you got now, that God will see things through and stuff like that. So anyway, I ended up going into it, learned a lot about it, and realized, like, it gives you everything you need to be happy. You know, you got to realize Jesus was not, you know, he was not a rich, you know, priest. You know, the church ran everything back then. He walked with the normal people. He helped heal people internally, spiritually, whatever you want to say. And, you know, he liked to call out hypocrites. And he, you know, walked into a city he knew he was going to be murdered in, and he did it anyway. And he had the courage, the strength. And so if, you know, you take a lot of that stuff, you look at what they teach in the New Testament, and you apply that to your life, and it really makes a huge difference. But so, you know, we're a month, 2 out since I posted that video. I do want to squash the stigma behind medically assisted treatment. A lot of you out there, and I was like this at first, it was either sober or not. But there is a middle, or a wide array of ways of tackling the issue. Medically assisted treatment is a great option. Now, you need to really educate yourself and know a lot about it, and advocate for yourself and find the right doctor, because it is not a treatment that you taper off quick. And you know, some of us, like me personally, after like really thinking about it, you know, I was prescribed ADHD medication since I was a kid. And I actually got off when Kratom came into the mix, because it gave me energy. It like literally did everything. It's actually a great plant. I just didn't respect it, and I was naive. I'd never been dependent on anything. So maybe, you know, naivety, whatever. But I kind of lost my train of thought. But medically assisted treatment is definitely an option. But looking back on it, you may have deficiencies in your brain. And so getting treatment, the reason why you went to the substances in the first place is because maybe you're lacking in that part of the brain. And so the more I thought about it, opiates really helped me. They calm my anxiety down. They help with pain, which I got a lot of, and I'm fixing through physiotherapy and diet. It's another thing. Keep your diet needs to be on point, guys. A lot of symptoms that you get emotionally, physically, actually start out in the gut. It's systematic inflammation of the gut. So, you know, like the supplementation stuff that you'll see on the boards, 100% true. But you know, there's a lot of different ways to tackle it. But back to the point, don't be scared to be treated. You know, I honestly would have continued the plant if it just became ineffective because my dose got too high. Maybe if I managed it better, it would have never gotten to that point, but it did. So here's where we're at. And, you know, it helps, right? I got back, you know, I got on the Suboxone. I got back on my ADHD medication. And, you know, I will taper off the Klonopin, the anti-anxiety stuff. I don't think I need that. I think, you know, those two medications cover my bases. But the point being, if it helps you, there's nothing wrong with getting your life right. And if you do have chemical imbalances in your brain, get yourself to a good place, then address it. Address it one by one. Take baby steps. Don't take a giant leap. Going from being addicted to opiates to being completely sober probably isn't realistic for a lot of us. Maybe I'm weak. There's plenty of people out there that just cut it. They're headstrong. Good for them. Happy for you. But, you know, do it in a comfortable way for you. But address all the other things, like what led you to it in the first place. You know, I got out of a line of work I was making a lot of money in. You know, after losing my job, I could have went right back into the car business, making 6 figures. I realized how much I hated it. Not because of the customers, but because of the, you know, the management and, you know, some of the fraternizing that goes on in that business. But I said, okay, it's not all about money, guys, because I can tell you one thing. When I started making more money, I started spending it more. Now I'm more about how do I live a life that's more conducive to my health and my physical and mental health and spiritual health. Well, you know, I'm taking this slow. I'm still in recovery. You know, I just got a job that I can do from home, helping a buddy of mine's moving business, sales from home. He's, you know, establishing a sales operation. And, you know, I'm going to build my Facebook and my training business. And, you know, if it never blows up, I don't care. I like to do it, and it makes me happy. As long as I can put food on the table for the kids and we have a roof over our head, it is not as dire as you think it is. And stop feeling ashamed that you're stuck in the position you are. Look, get all that negative feedback, that loop you're in, out of your fucking head. And if medication helps, get on the medication for a little bit. It's not productive to getting off. It's about today and tomorrow, not the past. Look, some of us do stupid things that we're not proud of. Sitting there moping about it, especially getting sucked into Reddit forums, like that you're in this like helpless position, because some of us are at our lowest point and we say things during that lowest point where we're feeling like there is no way around this. But there is, or there's at least a better solution. Minimize the damage, right? If I have to be on this medically assisted treatment and there are ramifications to my health because of these treatments, like all medications have, if I kick ass in other areas, like my nutrition, etc., I can still live a long, healthy life. And that's sober to me, okay? Now, the only thing I get uneasy about is if there was ever like a world war, you know, and if pharmacies went black, I'm fucked, you know? So, you know, there's that aspect, and part of my life still does revolve around being local and near my doctor. But hey, man, it's way better than where I was at. And so let's just summarize where all this, because this is the ADHD. I'm going on all these tangents. Don't be ashamed of yourself. Even if you did awful things to get your high or your fix, you can better yourself. You can become a better person and live a great life. 2, okay, take a hard look at yourself and, you know, try to figure out what it is that's leading you down that path in the first place. 3, don't expect your loved ones to get on board with your addiction. People cannot put themselves in another's shoes. You just can't. It's like when your girlfriend gets your period and you kind of roll your eyes, but when you're sick, babe, you know, come on, you know, help me out with the kids, blah, blah, blah. It just never works. You can get better at self-awareness and getting better with those situations, but the fact is, no one's ever going to be able to get in your shoes, nor you in theirs. So have some sympathy. And you know, for all those people that want to jump on and be like, you guys are the problems, blah, 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 blah. No, the medical establishment is the problem. Like, if you're someone who can't get pain medication because of all the people that got a little lost in their pain management journeys or whatever, these people are gatekeepers. There doesn't need to be less access, there needs to be more. I teeter-tottered on this. Getting rid of 7-hydroxy and kratom is not going to fix the problem. And a matter of fact, it limits you if you do need a medication to help you off something like fentanyl. 7-hydroxy kratom would be 10 times better than fentanyl. It can't kill you. I've proved that. You know, doing 1,000 milligrams a day, it won't kill you. So manage the damage. And open up resources. People go down these routes because they've never really truly looked at themselves. A lot of people don't have that self-awareness. They need counseling. They have trauma. Open it up. Tax the shit. Make billions of dollars. Open up facilities and new levels of treatment with empathy that, you know, can help you lower the dose or get off completely. It requires counseling. Open it up. You know, don't give these gatekeepers all the power. You know, we've all been to the pharmacy before, them question you about your medications and stuff. I hate that. Or turn you down for pain management when you have an infected tooth, you know, because of your past. Look, we all, anyways, you know, we go on this for days. People do get better, people do improve. Not everyone lives a life of crime and degeneracy. And if you're 50, 60 years old, you could change tomorrow, you know, point blank. But yeah, I mean, people get sick, people have down times in their life, and you know, it's not the worst possible scenario. You can get better, and you will get better. Okay, 4, like I said, nutrition. If you're dealing with pain, emotional stuff, I know I have sensitivities to foods, and when my diet is on point, I feel great, I sleep well, I kick ass in the gym, running, all that kind of stuff. It is a night and day difference. Sometimes it takes, you know, some consistency to feel the benefits, but it will come. The vitamin C stuff definitely works. You know, get an anti-inflammatory diet, hydrate. I saw some comments, people having trouble peeing. I definitely had that. I'm worried about kidneys, liver, dark urine. You know, I have to sit. I'm gonna say, I'm just gonna be out there. I have to sit down when I piss. It's a struggle sometimes. It takes 5-10 minutes. Definitely not normal. But these stuff strip nutrients out of your body, so you got to replace them. You'd be surprised what dehydration can do to a body and performance. An hour of basketball will tell you everything you need to know. Running up and down the court just isn't the same. You start cramping. Your shot starts falling short. You're mentally drained. Sometimes you give up on plays. I don't, but some people do. So yeah, replace the nutrients. Hydrate, electrolytes. Sip on the water, because if you just chug it, it's just gonna go right through your your stomach, wash away everything, and you're just gonna piss it out. Sip on it. Pink Himalayan salt for the electrolytes, and then baking soda. Sprinkle in some baking soda in there. It's alkaline. We've all seen what happens to a fish tank when it gets too acidic. The fish die. So if you can make the body more alkaline, too alkaline's bad too. But if you can change the pH in the body, you'll feel way better. And that's what baking soda does. It helps with the pH in your liver, your kidneys, and it will help some of those urinary issues you might be experiencing. But ultimately, if you're on any kind of treatment, Suboxone, whatever, opiates do also relax the muscles down there. And a lot of people don't exercise, you know, those parts, and so they're already weak to begin with, and when you relax that muscle, it's going to cause a weak flow. And yeah, we all know what it does to your hormonal system. If you're a guy, go get your testosterone checked, get that balanced. Treatment needs to be attacked from all angles. Anyways, a bit of a tangent. Hope that helps. If you guys need to talk about it, because it does help. Can't get to everyone. I got a busy life. I got kids, but I will eventually get to you. Hit me up on Facebook, Michael Brownlee. That's like the color brown, L-E-E, one word, or SWMWBAG, Instagram. Send me a message, and you know, if you need help, trust me, I want to help you, because man, like, it took me a while to educate myself. And maybe I can help expedite that process for you. And that's what treatment will do. If you meet the right people, they'll get you there. Everyone's path is different. Don't get so stuck on the black or white, sober or not sober. There's a path forward for everyone. Peace.